read a passage from that book.
Evil Dead, one of the most beloved and campy horrors to come out of the 80s, and the early 90s if you include Army of Darkness. This movie starts off with a real shocking opening scene. To start with, it opens up and you get a real sense of atmosphere right from the start. The girl at the start seems like a victim of some ill-conceived ritual with a twist. You find out quite the opposite. If you've seen it, you know what I mean. The reveal scene of this first girl is superb. The opening was enough to catch my attention. Teenagers or people in their early 20s show up to the cabin. Tension between the brother and the sister is evident, but not needed. The sister drops her cocaine in a well, and that's a side story in itself, but it plays into the early plot. The cabin looks great, just like the original, very beat down and rustic. I liked it, but I have to wonder, who'd want to lodge in a shack like this? I mean, look at it. It's so worn down and it looks like a piece of shit. There's a backstory about their dead mother, but it doesn't play into the story all that much. Let's get to the good stuff. I warn you though, I don't go into detail on the ending that much. One complaint is they started off really fast and then slowed to a snail's pace until the third act of the movie. Basically this is detox for the sister and going through withdrawal from what I guess is cocaine, but I don't think the side story is what fans really cared about. The cellar was the key to the original. They discovered it a little ways into the movie, but the dialogue at times seems weak, but overall decent in the long run. One of them makes a bonehead move to open up the Necronomicon, but then again, how is he to know? The guy decodes the scripture and all hell breaks loose. Actually, considering the pace, they do move along quite well, and when the action starts, it doesn't stop, so there's a plus there. The forest shots and the camera moving through the forest was a nice throwback to the style from the original, I found. Not quite as good, but decent. The chase through the forest is much the same as the original, but it definitely had some serious creep-out scenes, very eerie, and Eric working hard on decoding the book just makes things worse. I found that there was far too much backstory in the dialogue, however. It really wasn't relevant. Of course, the bridge is out and that screws up the escape plan, although it was a crazy start and I feel they pushed the panic button a little bit too early in this film. Shit starts to hit the fan here. Let's get Evil Dead rolling, subpar from the original so far. Just for a fun comparison, look at the makeup from the original cellar scene and then the new one. I don't know, they both look pretty good. I enjoy the old style, but the new one has a great feel and look to it. Oh, and there are tons of blood and guts in this film. Just check this out. Yep, doesn't hold back here. In the end, all but one turn, sorry for a bit of a spoiler, Dead Mia plays head games with her brother, although it's less campy in terms of dialogue than the original. And this guy makes his own defibrillator. Get out of town. Question though. Isn't there a history to this cabin? Were they unaware? What's the link to the beginning? Maybe I missed something there. Bear in mind, I'm reviewing this with only one view of the movie. And what would the movie be without a chainsaw? It's not Ash, but I'm glad it was in it, even though it isn't attached to an arm. And, by the way, how did Mia come back from possession? That was never explained, but she wastes no time putting the chainsaw to use. And the book remains, hopefully a sequel. Now, those are my asides and my breakdown, but how did I feel about the film? Well, I knew roughly what to expect. There was little variation on the original. I can see the attempt was there, but thinking about it, without drastically changing the story, I think they did a good job. The characters are a bit weak, and it seems slow at times, and then at other times far too rushed. It didn't have the same pace and campy tones that the original had, which I think made it a cult classic. I think the film is solid and worth a watch, especially if you're an Evil Dead fan. Bruce Campbell will never be replaced no matter how many sequels you do, but all in all, it was decent. This was Pat for HMRG. Thanks for watching.